Welcome back to another video, and today you're joining me in one of my mate's first car. It is a 2007 5-door 1.2 litre Fiesta, and I've worked on this car before. Right now it's got 71 tab on it. So the customer is complaining of a high bite on his clutch pedal, a squeaky clutch as it comes out, and a slipping clutch. So when he first got the car, I bled the clutch and it's got him over up until now, but according to him it's due a new clutch. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So straight away I've spotted an issue. Hopefully he's got a 3-piece clutch kit. So if I start it up, listen, clutch in, clutch out. It's got a slight humming on the throw out bearing. So the car seems to drive okay, but I've not put no miles on it. We'll ignore that for now. So first impressions, it's got a little bit of a noisy throw out bearing, nothing too much to worry about. But once they do start to make a noise, it's only a matter of time before they get exceptionally loud. And then it's just a ticking bomb then until you do need the throw out bearing. So I think he's decided to do it well in advance. I can't test the actual clutch because I can't drive it. So I'll take my mate's word for it that it is slipping, because everything else is added up. So before I start a big job like this, the first thing I like to do is go ahead, make sure that the boot is empty. So I've gone ahead and done that. Emptied the boot. We've now got somewhere to put all our bits and pieces, and now it's time to move on to the engine bay. So I'm going to start off on top. It looks like quite a nice tidy and dry engine. It's got a little bit of spilt oil from the filler cap, a little bit of old grind, but apart from that doesn't seem to be any major leaks. So first things first, there's our gearbox. That needs to come out. So if you think about it, that's down there. Got to take everything else on top out. So the most logical thing to do first is get this cold air intake setup out the way, get the battery out, get the ECU out the way, and see what we're dealing with down there. Got the air intake out, I've got the battery out, got our fuse box disconnected from the battery box. So I've got these three cracked off. Give them all a whiz. And out they come. Battery box is all out, then 3 bolts, and it came out. And it looks like the ECU isn't designed to come out. So unfortunately that's going to stay there. It's going to get in the way further down the line, I just know it, but we'll have to be very careful with it. Just undoing a few wiring clips, a few nuts and bolts. Remove that wiring piece of trim there. Just the easy stuff before we get on to the more involved stuff. So because I'm going to take the gearbox out the bottom on this car, there's no subframe, there's nothing to worry about. I'll just drop it straight out the bottom. So on top, that's about it. There might be a few little bit of clips, wires or pipes in the way, but we can bend them out the way and get an extension in there to get the bolt out the bell housing. So up top in here we have our cables for our gear stick. There should be 2. So we're going to pull this off and disconnect our gear cables. So these come off dead easy. Get a bar behind there. That's that one. And as we can see with this one, it's got a little nodule on the back. Go ahead, press it in and pull it off. So to remove the actual cables from the gearbox, they fit into that piece of steel. Got this little mechanism. All you're meant to do is unscrew it, and these plastic pins rise up out of the seats up onto here, and then it releases it from the piece of steel. But that didn't happen with this one, so that needs to be rebuilt. So normally you just unscrew it and it's spring loaded and it will come out. Got both gear cables out. As we can see, fits into the piece of steel. doesn't want to turn. A bit of WD probably would have got that, to be honest. As you can see, it's plastic on plastic, it's been there for years. It's not wanting to come out. But a bit of WD-40 probably would have solved that issue. So with quite a bit of work done up top, it's now time to move on to the underneath. What you want to do is get it up as high as you can. Remember, you've got to get a whole gearbox out underneath the car and out. So now we're taking the drive shaft out. I've oiled round our pinch bolt, so that one needs to come out and our hub nut needs to come off. Got the hub free, got this side of the shaft out, now just the gearbox side to get out. So I've tried and tried to get the near side drive shaft out and I can't get it out. I've done the off side, that came on no bother whatsoever. So it's just this one, I'm going to come back to it, and if I can't get it out, the gearbox will have to come out with it in. Next step, I'm just removing all the wiring that's connected to the gearbox. As we can see, that will clip on to one of the casting fins, and any electrical connections as well, they're coming off. And I've just undone 3 bolts, and that's freed up our starter, so that should be able to stay there, and then that way I don't have to fish around with the wiring. You can just go back in the hole when the gearbox goes in. So this is where I'm up to at the minute. I've undone all the wiring clips, all the brackets that were on the bell housing bolts. Even took a few bell housing bolts there. And the clutch, I want to leave the clutch to last, so I don't induce too much air into the system. So right now, I'm just going to drop this, see how much movement I've got, and if needs be, I can drop this side, the engine mount on that side as well. And in the middle of all of that, I'll disconnect the clutch so that we don't damage the hard line. So I'm just bringing this nut up to the end of its threads so that I'm not rushing and running around when it is time for that to come out. I'll take a little bit more of that. So now it's time to get the jack underneath it, let this out completely and see just how much movement I've got. So before I drop it down, make sure you've got all the awkward bell housing bolts out. So that's them ones up there that are going to be hard to reach when the jack's under here. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're the only bell housing bolts I've got left in it. We're going to go ahead and remove our lollipop bushing. That's on its last legs as well. Got this engine mount slacking off just because I'm going to be underneath it and I don't want to be messing about coming back up top to undo it. So that's just a precaution. Underneath we have got the jack in place. The jack's just on the gearbox. I've got a chock of wood here to hold the sump up. I can pull them in and out as I need. This should come out and not give us any issues now. So the main gearbox mounting is now free. And it's supported by the jack. So finally, I'm now going to remove our clutch feed. We can pull that clip out. Put that somewhere safe. And then pull the hydraulic line out. So I've got that copped off there, just got like a little rubber booty on there. My come in handy box, come in handy once again. Found something just to fit over it, just so no debris goes in there, and try to hold as much fluid in there as we possibly can. Crankshaft pulley is now touching the chassis leg, so that's as much as we're going to get on it. Just undone the final bolt on the bell housing, and as we can see now, it is now free. Now, it was a real pain, but it was easier than I thought it was going to be. So, got a bar in there, pried it out, let the jack down simultaneously, guided the box down with the jack, and out it come. Drive shaft and all. And to be honest, it doesn't look that dusty in there. Got a little bit of fresh material down there. but it doesn't look too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jack the engine up, relieve any pressure that is on our crankshaft pulley, and then get our pressure plate off on our clutch. So the clutch is off. There's only a bunch of 10 mils. Let's see what information it's got to give us. It looks alright that side. Springs still have a nice bit of tension on them. They're not rattling. There we go. Yeah, down to the rivets on that side. Only just. So it was time for the new clutch, definitely. Let's compare it to our new one now. So that's going to have to be replaced. Good job it's a 3-piece clutch, what I've been given. So they're burn marks, as we can see. Got one there, and there, and this is obviously where the rivets have been contacting. This is what the customer has supplied me with. So we've got our clutch, got our brand new pressure plate, and our throw out bearing. Lovely stuff. Little side by side. Obviously this is the new one, this is the old one. As we can see where it goes on our input shaft for our box, that's got a little bit more play in than our new one. And our new one's nice and firm, it's not going anywhere. The dampening springs, they've well had the day. Dead loose, so they're going to start to cause clutch judder. Them ones are pressed up either end, so they're nice and tight. And of course the thickness, new one's nice and chunky. So before we start to assemble it, there's a few things I like to do. Make sure it fits on our input shaft for our box. It's got a good mesh on there. And of course we want to degrease our flywheel and degrease our new pressure plate. Just give our pressure plate a quick wipe. As we can see, it is worth doing. Make sure you do it the same for the flywheel as well. I've got our clutch line now. Got the alignment tool in the pressure plate. As we can see, we've got about 1 mil all the way round. That's our tool. Very self-explanatory way to align it. Tighten it all up. Get the right fitting. Make sure you put the clutch in the right way, because if you don't, it won't work. So tighten the bolts all by hand, and then I just ran round in a clockwise pattern with the impact driver. So now we'll remove our alignment tool. That's it, that's bang on. I'm going to put the engine back on the chocks of wood, pull our jack out, get the gearbox on the jack as best as I can, and then just guide it up into the hole. Got our new bearing in. What you want to do is you want to put the tiniest bit of copper slip on the shaft. And this is about as far as I can go on my own. I've just tried, I can't do it. So I need someone to do the jack while I guide it up. The gearbox is in. As we can see, I've only got 2 bolts in it though. There's one this side and there's one there. So the jack idea got sacked off. You can buy a cradle to fit on top of your jack, and I think that's what I'm going to have to do next time I do a clutch, because it just kept on falling off. So I ended up having to lift it up with my dad, and then lined it up and got a bolt in, and then wiggled it till the dowels fell in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these 2 tight, jack it up, get our mount back in, and then go around and do the bell housing bolts. I've got the engine all nipped up and fully supported. So we'll just put all the nuts on the engine mountings, found where the engine wanted to sit, because these holes are oval and you can adjust where it sits. So I'll just let the engine take its own weight, give it a rock, and where it fell I've nipped everything up. So that's now tight. Our other engine mount, that's all tight and nipped up. And our gearbox stabiliser, the lollipop bushing, that's nipped up as well. So I've got it head through the starter in. It's only 3 bolts and plus the bell housing bolt as well, so that helps secure it. Got the bracket on for our wiring, and right now I'm going to go ahead and put the last two bell housing bolts in, which are underneath. So that's our engine on box finished with now. All the bell housing bolts are in. All the earths which go on the bell housing bolts, they're on as well. Give these a blast of WD-40. As you can see, they're functioning again. So also, just give the rubbers a little blast. It should go on its feet now. With the gear cables on, I've gone ahead and just threw the top end back together. So our battery box is in, our air intake is in. It's now time to move on to the drive shafts. So make sure you put the gearbox side in first. Lube your splines up with some copper slip. You put your drive shaft in first. Get the nut on just a few turns to hold it in place, and then go ahead and align our strut with our hub and get the trolley jack underneath it and jack it up and it'll go up. Got our reservoir brimmed, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack the bleed nipple off. Now it looks like you've got a steady flow coming out that bleed nipple, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to agitate the pedal and repeat the bleed process. The clutch bled really nice, no issues whatsoever. Bled the entire system now. It's holding pressure, so we're going to be moving on to topping the box up now. So unfortunately that's the end of the video. I didn't manage to film any more clips. So just to summarise the end of the video, we dropped about 1.5 litres of gearbox fluid out of the shaft, and then when we put the box in we lost another little bit of fluid. Topping the gearbox back up, I just filled it up to the level plug. There's no drainage plug on them because they're meant to be a maintenance free box, but when you pull a shaft out obviously you lose some fluid. So to refill it took about 1.8 litres of gearbox fluid. I found in the past that when you're bleeding a concentric throwout bearing, you can never do it manually. You'll press the clutch in and it'll just go straight to the floor and stay there. So my first resort is always a pressure bleeder. Never have any problems when you pressure bleed it. So the customer come and got his car, he was more than happy with it. I've advised him to do 100 mile or so in stop-start traffic just to bed the clutch in, and everything else went to plan. So to my knowledge, a week later the clutch is still going strong, no issues whatsoever. This job took me 2 days, so it's not bad considering I didn't have a ramp. If you start at 8 o'clock in the morning, you'd definitely have the clutch done the same day if you had a ramp. I think it was a good turnaround, the customer's happy and the car is back on the road. So I hope that this video has been helpful to at least one person. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. Don't forget to comment and make sure you subscribe so you can catch me in the next one. Thanks for watching.